Good morning. Raise your hand if you're awake. Almost everybody. Good. Raise your hand if you are not a Debian person. Excellent. I'd like to have a few. So good morning. I'm Enrico Zini, Debian developer, and I'm kind of responsible for debtags, which is the categories, the categorization system for Debian packages. Okay, my screen still shows the first slide. Confusing when you just woke up and haven't had breakfast. So the point of the talk is that I've recently rewritten the whole website that manages the categorization of packages, and I'd like to talk about it because I think there's interesting bits and bits that can also be reused by other distributions. So debtags is the category system for Debian packages, about 9 years old now. It's faceted classification, which means that categories are grouped in facets, which is like groups of categories, and each facet is homogeneous. Like all the categories in a facet represent the same kind of concept. For example, there is a facet for what language the package is implemented in. So this is implemented in C, C++, and there is a facet for what language does this do software development. So the categories are like the same, but in one case, you could have something written in C to work with Perl, like the Perl interpreter. And so by grouping categories in different facets, things make a lot more sense. It's a controlled vocabulary, so it's not. If you are used to tags in like delicious, that's folksonomy. You can type whatever you want as a tag, but we went for a controlled vocabulary. So there is a central vocabulary, and in order to have a new tag, you send an email to a mailing list, and then proposing the tag, and then it will be committed in some version control system, and yeah, and then you have it. And it's currently 614 tags in 31 facets, so it's rather extensive and expressive. The classification is anonymous, so the data is collected in a wiki-like way, but then there's a manual review, because there are tags which it's nice to give them semantic value. Like if you say something is a shared library, then you don't want to show it in a package manager. But since you want to do something based on tags, then you want to have a bit of a review to avoid rubbish going in the database and Firefox disappearing from the package managers because it's not, because somebody tagged it as a shared library. Oh, there's no Firefox in Debian package manager anyway, but anyway. Okay, and it tags the whole Debian ecosystem. Oh, we're getting there. It's currently Debian and Ubuntu, and perfect derivative from Debian. But we are now integrating Debian derivative census to have any Debian derivative distribution involved. And it currently knows of about, well, of 48,000 and so packages. There's also robots tagging things, but I'll show that later. So yeah, there's a web interface that tries to make things as easy as possible. So when you go and categorize packages, you have int suggestions, and we're going to see those later. And the website I wrote like 5 or 6 years ago had a custom C++ backend daemon for speech that was queried by CGIs. And I could, like, somebody said, oh, it would be nice to have that feature in the website. And I was like, yeah, it would be nice to. There's no way I'm going to do it on this code base. And so I've rewritten the lot using stuff that's rather standard at the moment. Then 5 years from now, people will say, oh, you were using Django, oh, silly you. But, well, at the moment, that's really nice to work on, so it's possible to implement all sorts of features on it. Okay, so maybe the introduction to debtags is getting a bit long, and I should probably show the website. Okay, not that impressive. Nope. Okay, this is a list of facets, so all the groups of tags that we have. So we start having an idea of what we are talking about. So this is like one of the main facets, which is role, the role of a package in the system. It's designed so that each package should have one tag from it. And these are the tags. Well, it doesn't fit, but that's the idea. So you have programs and shared development libraries, shared libraries, and it should be kind of familiar. It's the usual stuff you find in a package repository. Now, just having these tags is enough to do quite a bit of semantical stuff. Like you can hide shared libraries, or you can say I'm not a developer, or you know. Then we have something which is a bit more task-oriented. So there are sets of tags for specific uses. Like this doesn't apply to the whole archive, but it's very nice to provide a view of the games in Debian. A new addition I would like to welcome is the system, which is what kind of system this software is specific for. So like a personal information manager for tablets would be like system mobile, and then a configuration management for cloud systems, then that'd be system cloud. And it's quite nice because it also allows you to see the packages, see how broadly scoped is the package archive. So, you know, you can go from embedded control devices, mobile systems, and servers, and so it's also nice to have a way to kind of improve the perception of the packages themselves. Okay, so that's the browser of the vocabulary. We can search for, I don't know, browser. I made a little package search system, and it's got the faceted navigation on the right, which you may be familiar from shopping websites. This is like a proof of concept, and I do want programs only, thank you. And there you have it. There's also possibility of filtering for like show me only desktop applications, and that's just done via a combination of tags. That is not a program. So we click on it, not there. We click on it, and there's the classification editor, and browser widget with hypertext capability. It does not sound like a program, although it does have a screenshot. Oh, that's complicated, so maybe it is a program. Although I would like to talk with the person that packaged it. Do we have any Perl team people? No, probably not. Okay. Never mind. If we decide it's not a program, we just remove program and do submit. And that's it. What? Yeah, anybody can do that. It's... Well, let's remove it, whatever. There's one change to submit. Okay, we removed it. Done. Yeah, you can go ahead and clear the whole data set. I have backups. So the system will suggest you tags. It does suggest program, but probably because it had program, so it was like, used to be program, but maybe it's not a bad idea. It mentions TK, so it suggests TCL. That kind of makes sense. And it also suggests development library, which makes a lot of sense. It should also say, oh, there's a chance that role program is missing, probably because it says that it's got an interface. So it's got an X interface, so chances are it's a program. It makes sense. There are statistical algorithms that analyze the tag distribution and give you feedback, like the shopping algorithm things like, you bought this, you may want to buy that as well. It's exactly the same thing that runs on tags, and you tagged it like that, maybe you want that tag too. Okay, there's pop-ups with more information about tags, and it's also, role documentation is rarely used in this way because you don't have usually a documentation with an X interface, probably. So remove tag role documentation. Thank you. And it says, well, you need to have some role for it. So it does have this smart way of guiding you through tagging. It's limited, but it does get you to cover the basis. Like, and I can use this to give hints to people who are tagging out of my experience. Like, if I want to set a target that every package must have a role tag, then I just add a hint for it to check, and it works. Oh, loads of suggestions here. Okay, never mind. We'll get in touch with the maintainer of it. Oh, there's no link for the maintainer. It's funny also, you are anonymous to the system, but since it correlates edits together via a cookie, I can see my patch history. No big deal, but and since there's loads of checks, then I can build to-do lists with packages that fail those checks, and these are sorted by popularity. So you see the obvious stuff that needs to be done first. I try to make several entry points for people that want to help with the tagging to actually go in the site and start doing something. There's a getting started page that has several links to places where you could do something. There's also a tag cloud, which are so 90s, and it's also so ugly, but it was like, it's a prototype, this one. And you could say, yes, I want role program. And no, I don't want utilities. And then you get packages, and you can navigate like that. And if you think there's packages that don't fit, you can go to tag editor, and you can just remove them. Sorry, you can just edit the tags like, there's not a program, that's not a program. Okay, never mind. They are programs. So, well, mostly it's experiments of mine to to try to tag from different points of view. Sometimes it's nice to take a package and say, these are the categories. Sometimes it's nice to say, show me all first-person shooting games, and then see if there's something that doesn't fit. And having a flexible site now allows me to do all these kind of experiments quite easily. Let's go back to the slides. So, uses of debtags, the whole point was back in 2003 that there were discussions on Debian development making this like, oh, we should stop accepting new packages because Debian is too big. I was like, no, let's just make Debian able to cope with more packages. And so one idea was to have a categorization system that could scale, because the previous one was like only one section per package, and it didn't scale that well. It did have a very nice side effect that you can move pointless details away from package descriptions. It's like if you see a package whose description is, this is a Perl utility to with a GTK interface to do something, then you can just take away all that and say this is a program to do something. And then all these kind of technical details that can be represented via categories, then you just do it via categories. Those are shown in package managers. So there's no point in, well, generally you're not interested in what UI toolkit this have, but if you are, it's in the categories, and you don't clutter descriptions with unneeded details, or generally unneeded details. There's some semantic aspects of tags that hide an interesting packages is quite useful. Recently there's been experiments for linking the hardware categories to limited hardware detection. So you could have a feature like, you want to install this package, but you do not have a DVD burner. Are you sure you want to continue? Or I have a DVD burner, show me packages that can use it, or something like that. It's an experiment, but it's nice. I find it interesting to attach to categories some code that can kind of do or guess something about them. There can be domain-specific package managers. Let's see if I have GoPlay installed. I've recently reinstalled my machine. Have it. It's like a package manager for games, which shows you games, and you can choose what type of game you like to play and what interface. Well, and I want to play text-based interactive games. And you have a list, so I can, on the terminal, I can play these kind of games. Or, well, there's something wrong here. Oh, no, it was both. There's something wrong going on. There's more interfaces. There's like 3D interface at least. I'm not going to debug it now, but that's a general idea. And to play with things, you could do the same thing and say, go admin, and have but system administration tools. Obviously, you'd like to change the interface. The screenshot isn't that useful. Maybe you want to give more descriptions of packages or something. But it's kind of a prototype to hint at the idea of having task-specific package managers. Their surprise in what you can do with task-specific stuff. We recently found out that Debian is like the most widespread operating system for neurosurgeons. And there's like a Debian booth at the world's leading neuroscience conference. And it's very big there. And like, what? But yeah, it makes sense. And, you know, that could be catered for. Okay, and then as we've seen, search functions that allow you to say, yes, I want programs, and yes, I want them graphical, and I want to work with this kind of file. You can, I did something, well, there's the MIME type database for that, but you could, until we extract MIME information from packages in an index, you could do something that points at the file, detects the MIME type, and show all the packages that can open it. Okay, let's skip it. It's a bit late. So a tour of the website. We've seen a bit. Okay. There's statistics we can see. Okay, the numbers are similar to what I've been showing before. It does mention tagged by human and tagged by robots. And this is a... so those are tagged by humans and those are tagged by robots. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. Okay. That means when a package is first seen by the site, it's marked with a tag that says this hasn't been reviewed by a human yet. And if you are a human and review it, then you're supposed to take that tag out. So the system can tell whether it's something that's unreviewed by nobody or not. Things that no human has touched yet, there's all sorts of heuristics that add tags to them. Like look at the package name and say, well, that looks like a Perl library, tag it Perl library, something like that. So there is a basic of tagging throughout the system, although it may not be perfect. Once you remove the marker, then the robots will respect the higher intelligence and not touch the package anymore. So they won't mess up the tagging after you reviewed it. Hopefully it's a higher intelligence, but generally it is. I mean, system seems to work. And that's like the number of tags per package. And so you got like loads of packages with few tags and then very few packages with loads of tags. Never mind. No, not that useful, except as a... That's the list of packages with the outliers, packages with loads of tags, and Squid happens to have loads of tags. Anyway, and that's all the automatic checks that are run on the system. And let's go back to the editor. Squid is a bit insane. I'm not sure it should... Well, most of these things actually apply, so it's kind of weird. Anyway, there's the suggested tags, and there's like all tags, then you can tag that way. You can search tags, so... And you can search pretty freely. Those don't need to be keywords in the tag descriptions. Because I did something weird. There's load images, and it did say works with images. It's a bit contrived the way it works, but it's really quite nice to find tags you need by just saying, I want something kind of like that. Because I cannot pretend that people actually know all those 700 tags. I need to provide ways for people to search them or for the tags to be suggested to them. And then I can do patch review. Which is the process to bring those submissions into Debian. Is there a pop-up somewhere? No, okay. Okay, these are the paths that have been submitted. This is an example of somebody that doesn't use cookies in the browser, which I find annoying from this side of the barricade, because then I have like several edits of MVB tools when it's obviously it's the same person, and so it could have been shown like this. So that's somebody who's been like tagging all their packages, and I can easily review it and say, yeah, that makes sense, that makes sense. Generally, yeah, definitely it looks like a sane person to me. No need to see them all. Why it's not hardware video, that one. It looks like it is, actually, so yeah. But it seems to have that he or she seems to have a point there. I don't know enough to be able to tell, so I'll just leave it like that and let somebody else fix it. There's the patch to submit, and then, yeah, and then I can say submit somewhere. And that should go in Debian after a couple of days. Eventually. So the workflow is actually this one. Using cookies, they are grouped by the same person. So basically, when you review, you can just make a judgment like sane submission or person that was trying the website by clicking every button. Because that's the two kinds of submissions we get. And if it's sane, then you just say okay. And then once that's reviewed, it gets committed into version control system. So I get historical backups. And then eventually upload it to Debian. Yeah? Yeah, it will be at the bottom of the list of stuff to review. There should be, actually. We removed the libtk pod perl. That's the edit I did. And I can say, no, that person's totally insane. There you go. So I can actually amend the changes before submitting them. Or you can edit it again. Yeah, there's no undo, but there's an undo before sending. So before you send, let's go mess up Firefox. So there is Firefox in Debian after all. No, it could be in Ubuntu actually. So I've edited something and it says there's 3 changes to submit. Actually, no, it is a web browser and it does work with HTML and it's okay, then never mind. So currently, the review tags go into the archive, and then and then packages are only tracked by name. So every version of that package will get those tags. It works 95% of the times, There's odd cases in which it breaks. So the current tags of Chromium do not actually apply to Debian stable, because, or Git. It used to be called Git core because there were such things as GNU interactive tools. In the past that was called Git, and so there's been a name transition. And so it doesn't always work to track stuff by name only. You'd need to track them by version, but it gets too messy. So the idea is to allow tags to be overridden inside packages. But that doesn't work yet. There's a new workflow proposed, but it hasn't been discussed much. It's just an idea of, I'm trying to move to a way in which a package maintainer can override stuff from debtags Debian.net, if it makes sense. But yeah, there's going to be more of that possibly in Debian lists once I manage to talk it through with FTP masters and provide some patch to the archive system and so on. There's QA to-do list that we have seen. We haven't seen the one per maintainer. So I maintain packages, and so I have a page for myself with the packages I maintain and the to-do list. Oh, you bastard, go and do some work. So it indexes several distributions, but I can say, nah, I don't feel like tagging anything for Ubuntu today. And there you go, I hide all the Ubuntu packages. And I also hide the Debian packages. And oddly, there is a package. But that's a glitch that is going to be fixed. There's going to be so many more distributions in this box, and I have to figure out how to lay them out. I think there's about 50 in the Debian derivative census. That's going to be interesting. And so yeah, these are all my packages, and then let's get one that makes sense to tag. Not many. Oh, this one. Aha! This is an example. Can you read this? This is an example of a case where the hints are wrong. That's display manager, which just logs you in. It doesn't ask who you are. It's configured like for kiosk machines. You could just say, well, when the system boots, open an X session as this user without asking any password. I'm a kiosk. I don't. People can't log in via, you know, a touch screen, and they don't need to. When it only runs a browser, or it only runs the control interface for industrial devices, and it's that kind of display manager. So it is a display manager, but it doesn't have a UI toolkit because it doesn't open any window. And in that case, the suggestion is reasonable, but in this case wrong. There's loads of corner cases. And that's where being an intelligent human makes sense. I can choose to ignore that. Whereas if it were automatically tagged, then the system would just add it, and it wouldn't be correct. No, it wouldn't add it because it wouldn't know which UI toolkit to use, but anyway. So, personal page. That page is linked from like qa.debian.org and all the other per package report pages. So one can have a look at the sort of personal to-do list in Debian, and then there's also going to be tags. And then there's a bit of internals, like it does export the whole tag set. There's links. These are just download links, and you can download all the unreviewed tags and all the reviewed tags. The whole data set is available for download. there is, well, these are like used by the editor and so on. The vocabulary is a static file. It's a static JavaScript file with all the descriptions. So I load it in the tag editor so browsers can cache it. And this description don't need to be loaded over and over again. Silly things like that. These are the code with all the checks that are done, all the hints you get. Obviously, there's also the source code to download over here. And so using these links, you can just set up cron jobs that download the new version of the database, and you can get the reviewed categories for Ubuntu, for example, or any other distribution that's covered by this. Or you could just download this, convert it via distro match, which is a tool that can map package names across distributions, and then you get tags for your non-Debian style distribution as well. There is a bit of a web API which is used by the various pages. This one, and it's documented a bit. So there's like an API to submit patches, to tag changes, and that shows how to do it. And it will reply saying if the change was okay, if it changed something, and there's also other APIs for searching packages, but I haven't published them yet because they're not that stable. But I intend to do so. And these APIs can be called from anywhere. There's cross-origin resource sharing headers, so that you have any JavaScript from everywhere can call these and send patches and screw all the data. No problem. There's backups. I won't go that much into the internals. Except for one thing. This is a bit of internal I'd like to show. Dependencies. It's 3 Python packages. Python Debian can be pure Python. So there's no particularly Debian specific dependencies. It's Python, Django, Xapian, and a module to read some YAML-like files. There's a configuration file that you use just to put paths. And that's it. You can run the server. There is a procedure that downloads package information. Since it needs to cover Debian, Ubuntu, and so on, it does not make any use of the local apt database, for example. Because, well, there's no apt database that can cover all Debian and Ubuntu. And so it's quite easy. I mean, it's definitely possible to port this to another distribution. You just need to export your package names and descriptions. At the moment, it will import them in a YAML-like format that's used by Debian, but it's not that hard to change the exporter if you just don't want to convert it and want to read your native format. And that's about it. Update data. Update data downloads package information, source package information to see who are the maintainers. Popularity contest is optional, you can do without. a seed of stable tags, which is also optional, and the vocabulary information, and then runs the maintenance script that will index everything. And a update a petit Xapian index that will also index everything. And that can also be run from other distributions. There's a wiki page showing how to have a Xapian index of packages for non-Debian distributions. And yeah, well. Also, the theme, the graphical theme of the website is a pluggable Django application. I created a generic Django app for the Debian website layout, and so everything else just derives from it and doesn't do any particular layout themselves. So it's rather easy to just switch that with a page that has a different branding. If someone from Ubuntu would like to do the work of doing the branding, then I wouldn't mind doing something that it says if it comes as debtags.ubuntu.com, then show different branding. That can easily be done. Django also has support for it. So yeah, that's what you can do if you want to set this up for non-Debian distributions. I'm happy to assist. I'm not happy to do the work for you, obviously, because I can't manage debtags installations for everyone. But yeah, I can definitely assist. And then if you set this up, we can trade submissions. Submissions are there's a patch queue of stuff that is submitted, and I can just send you my queue of reviewed changes. You can send me yours. Or I can just download your new database and make a difference from the previous version. And so yeah, things are tradable and shareable and stealable. And that's the work I've done on my Christmas holidays, so I think I deserve a substantial applause. Questions? Sure. There should be limited time for questions. And I'll repeat the question.
How many reviewers do you have for Debian?
Okay. The question is, how many reviewers do we have for the Debian version of debtags, and are we looking for volunteers? So to submit patches, to submit tags like the anonymous submissions, it's difficult to count them, but possibly every maintainer can just take care of their own packages. To review submissions, then it's 2 of us at the moment. I'm not yet looking for volunteers because I would like first to allow people interested in one field to review only the changes for that field. I'd like to have the Debian game team be able to review the game submissions, then not have to bother with other things. But I don't have that yet, so I'm not reaching out. I can manage alone, actually. It's less work than de-spamming your inbox. So you can do it once a week, and you de-spam your inbox every day. So, you know. Yeah.
Great. I like it very much. I would really like this on one level deeper. I would like to have this text for binary. So instead of this main menu, I can start search programs using also this text.
Right.
Do you think about it?
So the question is, can I search for tags using like apt? No, I didn't understand the question then. Sorry. Yes. Oh, okay, I get it. Right. It's a good point. So the what you propose is to be able, like, if a package contains 4 binary executable files, that to tag each one. Indeed, because they could be different. How do you? Oh, so they could show in the application menu. I tried reaching out to Free Desktop years ago, saying, well, there's also those categories and blah. There's a category system in .desktop files, and that's been standardized, and there is already a category system for application menus. What? So these are already categorized, and I didn't design that. I may or may not like it, but it's already a standard, so I don't think nobody would listen to me if I propose something else. There's also talk about removing these kind of menus anyway, so no idea. I did make something experimental that shows binary executable available in the system by the tags of the packages they are in. It's obviously a bit fuzzy when these things are different. Like a package that provides main application and set of utilities. Obviously, the two have totally different tags. One can be a command line tool and one can be a GUI application. But one can split the package if that becomes a problem, or don't know. Am I running out of time? Somebody should throw a shoe to me if... No, there was a strange sign there. Yeah? Okay. It's technically easy to do. It hasn't been done yet. There's very good people that intend to do it. The point is that tags have a silly name which you don't want to show users, like this one. This one could just be used as a handle. You don't translate this, you translate everything else. But then that's a string you show to users. And so technically it's trivial to translate. But then I don't know much about getText, so I'm not that good at doing it myself. Other people may not know much about debtags, and we haven't yet got together with enough common push to do it. But yeah, it's possible. I'm not sure I'm going to translate the website. It probably doesn't make much sense to translate this website, but it does make sense to translate it for applications, definitely. Like you do want Software Center or whatever to show those kind of strings in your language, because that software is translated. There is, yes. And then it will suggest you that there's a text-based tag cloud. And so on. It does suggest keywords and tags, and then you can do something like it does have Boolean things, and And it's fast. It uses a local. It's based on the local aptX Sapien index, which does index tags and hashes and everything. Yeah. Okay. I guess time's up.